Hi everybody, it's Tristan from World English School, and today we are in Shinjuku, Tokyo. And Shinjuku is one of the busiest places in Tokyo. And we have a book about, I think there's some parts about Tokyo in here, but it's a book about Japan. And it's called Sayonara, Mrs. Kackleman. And we thought, we came to Tokyo today, we thought it'd be fun to read a book in Tokyo. Because the book is Japanese about Japan, and so we're going to read it to you. Sayonara, Mrs. Kackleman, by Maira Kalman. I think she has a Japanese name and maybe an American name. Look at that cute picture. So did she write the book and draw the pictures? I think. Look at this. Sayonara, Mrs. Kackleman, it says here, by Maira Kalman. And then look over here. In Japanese, it says Sayonara, Mrs. Kackleman, which means the same thing. Isn't that funny? Isn't that great? I think it's fantastic. And this, down here, what do you think that says? Remember over here it says the author's name? Here, it says the same thing. Maira Kalman. It's her name in Japanese. That's cool. Okay, Sayonara, Mrs. Kackleman. Or Sayonara, Mrs. Kackleman. Lulu, I want to go there. My little brother Alexander whispered that to me while we were watching a funny opera called The Mikado. Where? I asked. To that place where they are singing. Pajan. Not Pajan, it's Japan. Yes, that's where I want to go. Now, please. They're watching a play called The Mikado. It's a famous play about Japan. And her little brother wants to go there, Alexander, to Japan. I had a piano lesson the next day with the dreaded Mrs. Kackleman. Or what's the name in Japanese? Mrs. Kackleman. So it seemed like a great idea. Yes, I smiled. I will take you. Who's she gonna take to Japan? I called the travel agent, Mr. Google. Look, Google Earth. Hello, Mr. Google. 2 seats on the Japan plane, please. Thank you, Mr. Google. We kissed our parents goodbye. They said, come back soon. Bring back presents. You think this is imaginary or is this real? Is she really going to Japan? Can you call Google to make a reservation to go on an airplane flight to Japan? I wonder if this is her imagination. And off we went into the blue sky to Japan, which, as I explained to the miniature midget, as I sometimes call my brother, is a skinny island next to China, and the people are Japanese. Japa sneeze? They always sneeze? No, I yelled. Not sneeze, knees. Knees? They walk on their knees? He screeched. No, I screamed. They are of Japan. Japanese. Oh, I knew that, he said quietly. He didn't know that, did he? Or is he making jokes? Which one is it? I don't know. And look at this. Are they flying through the sky? Yeah, there's an airplane, 2 airplanes. So this is their trip, I guess. We landed in a city called Tokyo. Look at Tokyo. This is Tokyo. We are in a park right now, but around us are buildings, big tall buildings. We landed in a city called Tokyo. The people are always very polite, and they're always saying, "Domo arigato gozaimasu," which means, thank you very, very much. The alphabet looks like little stick pictures, like this here, see? We looked at a sign. Alexander thought it meant, don't jump on the bed. That's what Alexander thought. But it meant 2 heads are better than 1. In Japanese, futatsu atama wa saiko. 2 heads are great. And look, 2-headed people? Never seen that in Japan. Maybe this is their imagination, huh? We hopped into a red taxi with a driver in white gloves and sharp black hair. Everyone in Japan has black hair. Not red, not yellow, not green, just black. Narrow streets whizzed by, little houses and stores. People on bicycles, people walking. What is she playing, a biwa, maybe? And people in a jinriksha. And are those animals in there? Huh. And then look at this guy. What is he, like a Shinto priest or something? Interesting, huh? Cool pictures. Our hotel was a ryokan, which is like a Japanese home. You take your shoes off before you step inside, so you must make sure that your socks don't have holes. You walk on mats called tatami, and you sleep on the floor on a cushy pad called a futon, and cover yourself with a quilt as soft as a cloud. We sat on the floor at a table and had jasmine tea and senbei, or rice crackers. Look at this. That's a real tatami floor, isn't it, in this picture? And they're having tea around a table. Outside our window, we heard music under fluttering cherry blossoms. Women danced to the playing of the flutes. Look at this. Maybe they came in the springtime, huh? Because there's cherry blossoms, sakura, and they're falling down, so I think it means that maybe it's springtime, if they're seeing this. Or maybe she's imagining it, I don't know. What do you think? The door knocked. In walked our guide, Hiroko. She was going to show us many places. Alexander made up a poem that I was very proud of. Hey Hiroko, are you loco? Would you like a cup of cocoa? I wonder if Hiroko would like that poem. We opened the present that Hiroko brought, a book with pictures of school children many years ago. They were dressed in beautiful robes called kimonos. That's a kimono. Now children wear school uniforms and the girls have braids that point to the ground, like this here. We wanted to meet the children at school. We jumped up. I will take you, said Hiroko. We went to the subway. We took the subway today to get to this park. The subway was shining and quiet. The workers stood in crisp uniforms. The train smoothed into the station and was full of people. We were like marshmallows all stuffed together in a bag, bouncing along. But nobody stuck their elbow in my ear. And look at all these people dressed the same. And sometimes it's like that. On the weekends, people are dressed differently. But on business days, most people are dressed very, very similarly. Salarymen, salarywomen, dressed similarly. In the school, the children bowed hello, singing a good morning song. Other children were reading a story about a man who traveled to a magic castle under the sea on the back of a turtle. Other children were learning music, and the birds chirped on trees. There are a lot of birds in Japan. And children do sing a lot at school too, in the morning especially. And do you see this over here? Check this out. Shoes in a rack. And people take their shoes off in schools and at home before entering the building. Walking in the sun, we passed a man sitting on a bench. His black, crooked cane poked the ground and looked like a snake. In Japanese, this is called a tsue, cane. We went to a noodle restaurant. Alexander said they served oodles and poodles of noodles. The waiter brought us little hot, wet, white towels. We wiped our hands. The bowls of noodles arrived with chopsticks. Alexander's chopsticks kept flipping and flying through the air. I taught him how to use them, and we all slurped our noodles, which is a perfectly fine thing to do in Japan. Did you hear about that? When you're in Japan, you can slurp your noodles like this. People do it. People do that. And you'll hear it at the restaurant. And it's okay to do it. How about in your country? If you live in the United States, or if you live in Mexico or in France, is it okay to slurp your noodles? Strolling along, we came to a rock garden. There were big rocks that were like islands. All around them, sand was raked into patterns like the ocean. And even if one tiny leaf fell on the sand, a gardener, this guy here, would come and pluck it away using a long pole with a pin on the end. In the pond, big spotted carp wiggled to our feet. The quiet was so quiet that the quiet filled the air. Does anybody know the name of these in Japanese? I think it's koi. Same in English, right? We call them koi or carp. Suddenly, a frog spoke to us. Oh, this is a dream, definitely, right? Excuse me, would you like to hear my haiku? And here's his haiku. What's a haiku? A kind of poem, isn't it? A Japanese poem. And the frog's haiku goes like this. A frog is no frog if he is a prince, which I am certainly not. That's his haiku. Nice. And he has a mustache. Cute. We went to